Called together the city council meeting for the city of Eldridge, Iowa on Monday, April 15th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Roll call.
Blackwell,
Present.
Campbell, Collins,
Present.
Dockery,
Present.
Gilsey,
Present.
Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Number 3, looking through the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Dockery, second by Blackwell. Campbell. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Number 4, here we have a proclamation this evening to read here, and it's from the Unity Access Coalition. And Lori, are you there? Okay, when I'm done here, I have something to present to you. Proclamation for Parental Alienation Awareness Day. Whereas parental alienation cruelly deprives children of their fundamental right to nurture and receive affection from both parents and their entire family network. And whereas the preciousness effect of parental alienation can inflict profound emotional and psychological harm upon a vulnerable child. And whereas behaviors such as despairing a parent in the presence of a child can irreparably rupture and scarred bond between the loving parent and their offspring. And whereas raising awareness about significant issue fosters enlightenment and empathy, thereby a well-being of the children within our community. And whereas parent alienation yields severe consequences for the affected parents, including emotional distress, loss, strained relationships, legal disputes, mental health challenges, and social isolation. And whereas parental alienation has been acknowledged by the American Bar Association with a majority of scientific literature as undeniably constituting a form of physiological abuse. And whereas the month of April is solemnly dedicated to child abuse awareness and preventing, recognizing parental alienation as a grievous form of physiological abuse against children. And now, therefore, I, Frank King, Mayor of Eldridge, Iowa, do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2024 as Parent Alienation Awareness Day in the city of Eldridge. Will you come up here, Glory? I'd like to present this to you. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
And we have a special collection on thanks.
Okay,
Again,
thank you so much. You're
You're
welcome.
our first.
Oh, I heard that.
Being born and raised in Iowa and a North alumni, I'm so proud.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Mark wants to, excuse me, Lori, can we get a picture?
Oh.
You want some around, Frank?
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You should.
Thank you, everybody. Number 5, presentation on the fiscal year 23 audit report by Bonsack and Formel. I believe we have Mia and Sarah here. Hi.
Presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The floor is yours.
First of all, we appreciate you inviting us tonight to discuss your June 30th, 2023 financial and compliance report. We have been doing the audit for a couple of years now, but have not had the opportunity to come and present to the board. So in the presentation, the first page, if you turn in, is what I refer to as a tour of the financial statement. So I just kind of wanted to walk through the bound report with you so that you know the different pieces of information to look for in that report. Our table here for all the paper we delivered. In the first part of the report, we'll have the city officials in the table of contents, and that's referred to as the introductory section. Following that is the financial section. And after the auditor's report, on page 4 is the management discussion and analysis. And if you don't have time to read anything else in the report, I encourage you to read through the management discussion and analysis. It's a high level, year-to-year comparison of the financial aspects of the city. Next, on page 15, begins your government-wide financial statements. There's 2 financial statements in the government-wide. Statement of net position and statement of activities follows. Those are presenting the city on a full accrual consolidated basis. So that's a picture as if you were had a single fund that's all consolidated. And that's followed on page 19 by the governmental fund financial statements. The governmental fund financial statements are your general fund, your special revenue funds, and your debt service fund. Those statements are followed by your enterprise funds, which start on page 25, which includes your electric, your water, your sewer, and your other enterprise type funds. The enterprise funds, the proprietary funds, are also presented on an accrual basis of accounting, much like a normal business type accounting. The fund financial statements are followed by the notes, which give you a greater explanation for the financial statements, and includes your capital assets and also your debt footnotes, as well as any pension notes that you have. Those are followed by required supplementary, which starts on page 58. The required supplementary includes other information about your other post-employment benefits plan, your retirement plans, as well as your budget to actual statements for the year. That information is followed by your compliance section, which starts on page 72. Which brings us to the next slide. And the next slide is the required communications to the city council from your auditors. You kind of think of it as the report card of the audit process. When we came to do the city this year, we're required to do 3 different types of audits. The first one was an audit of the financial statements. The second is referred to as the government auditing standards audit, and the purpose of that audit is twofold. One is to look at your internal control system, test it to make sure that it's functioning as it was designed to function. And then the second part of that is to look at your compliance with laws, regulations, grants, contracts. And then the last type of audit that we do is the federal single audit. This year you were required to have a single audit, which is a specific audit of your federal funds. And the reason you're required to do that this year is because you had over $750,000 in federal expenditures this year. All of those begin on page 72 that I refer to as the compliance section. For the government auditing standards section, we did report some material weaknesses. Those findings begin on page 82. When you look at internal controls, there's really 3 levels of internal controls. The very bottom, the lowest risk, if you're thinking about a barometer, if you will, is control deficiencies. Any control deficiencies that we reported for the city are included in the separate letter that came with your financial statements. The next level is referred to as significant deficiency, and those have a likelihood that error could occur, but you do have some compensating controls around those. We did not report any significant deficiencies for the city. And the highest is material weaknesses. And material weaknesses means that you need to work to develop some checks and balances, some compensating controls, even with a small staff to help mitigate risk of loss. And we did report some material weaknesses for the city this year. We also had a compliance finding that is reported on page 89. And we had some statutory reporting under the Code of Iowa. They require us as your auditors to report on certain criteria that they've set, and those are included behind that page, starting on page 90. And kind of a summary of all of the findings. You'll see the corrective action plan that starts on 94. And it gives you a listing of all of those findings in the short synopsis of what they are. And then year when we come out, the return, we look at what corrections the city has made. We again test, make sure that they're functioning as designed, continue to give recommendations to help facilitate those weaknesses. With that, we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
You're talking through this, and we just received this tonight.
Okay.
We haven't read it yet, but did you find anything of a major concern to you?
The material weaknesses are of major concern.
And some of those, when we did, I went through them, some of those we're dealing with right now.
Yes, I believe that's true.
And is it common to have so many repeat findings? Is that a common thing?
It's not uncommon. We really look for you to make corrections to try and facilitate fixing those items. I think it's really important that you have an internal control system in place that protects both the city's assets and the city's employees.
And so most of these findings were before Martha and Nevada, is that correct?
This would be for the year ended June 30,
And
2020.
you came in May of that.
Yep.
Which is a good point too, because there's prior year findings are listed also on page 74. And many of them are repeats from the year before.
So a question for you, Nevada, after seeing this, I mean, do you feel like we have a good handle on it, we can correct these moving forward?
I do. I think we've spent a lot of time on looking at the processes and what the findings were prior to this report coming out. And these are a lot of repeat findings. So we've been working hard at putting processes in place and looking at different things that we can do to make sure we have checks and balances. And then we are also going to sit down and walk through some of those processes that we're implementing with Mia and Sarah and make sure that those aren't going to create any, by moving those things around, it's not going to create a lack of oversight somewhere else, and just make sure that we're covering all of that so that we can mitigate some of these findings.
A big part of that was separation of duties.
Yes, yep. We are working on separating the duties between the office staff so that we have the appropriate oversight.
I'm guessing a lot of these are duplicate of the audit findings as well.
Yes, yep.
Any other questions for us?
No.
Hopefully your report's a little shorter next year.
Thank you. very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 6, presentation of trees, please. Is Dave here from Mid-America? Hi, Dave. Is Scott LaPlante here? Like to stand up there too, please.
I'm Dave McCammon. I'm with Mid-American Energy. I live in Eldridge. I'm a community link for Eldridge for the company. I think I know most of you. If you ever have a question about Mid-American, you can contact me and I will try to find an answer. If it's about energy efficiency, I better know the answer. And if it's about some other topic, then I will find out the answer. This year, Mid-American's given away about $112,000 or making community grants for trees, planting in 55 communities. And Eldridge is receiving $3,000 this year. So I'm very glad that Eldridge applied and is participating. It's great to be able to be involved in the energy efficiency programs. And if you participate, you get funds back, and that's what I'm happy about. So I guess I'd like to present you with Park Board.
Yes.
I'm going to present a check for $3,000. Congratulations.
Well, you smile when you do that.
On behalf of the people of Eldridge, we thank you.
Yeah, and there's some paperwork in here for you, a little report to fill out when you're done. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Scott. On to number 7, public comment. Gonna open the floor for anyone to have something they'd like to speak about tonight evening. And just let everybody know there's 3 minutes per person. And we have a timer over there by Assistant Administrator Jeff Martin. So if anybody has anything to say, you can stand up and state your name.
Jason Faust. Use the podium.
Yeah, please. And state your address too, please.
810 West Pine Street. Eldridge. All right, good evening. My name is Jason Faust, and I've been a resident of Eldridge for the majority of my life. Lately, I've been very concerned with the ongoing city council administration and the utilities board. I would like to tell you how I am understanding the things and would like to invite you to respond to any discrepancies that there may be. To my knowledge, this all started in late July with the building of the apartment buildings behind the old Amoco, the Callahan 33 Flex. Joel Callahan was the building developer and the city councilman Dan Collins was the project manager. Mr. Collins seemed to be trying to get Jake, our utility manager, to prioritize a private project. When Jake refused to prioritize Mr. Collins' project, as he was short-staffed, but still able to schedule it in a reasonable amount of time, Dan called Nevada, our city administrator, and complained about Jake delaying his project by 2 weeks. Nevada then joined in on the pressuring of Jake to prioritize Mr. Collins' project to try to tell Jake to schedule utility work. Mr. Dockery, this is how I believe the interference with day-to-day operations of our utilities occurred by our administrator. I believe that Mr. Collins and Ms. Linke acted unprofessionally and inappropriately. Mr. Callahan even called Jake personally and told him to sharpen his pencil to get him on the schedule sooner. This is why the utility board wanted to have Jake under their direction and not the administrators or the council. I have copies of Jake's call log if anybody would like to see those. He made his own personal call log. Next, I have an email from the utility chairman with suggestions on the proposed organizational chart to the mayor per his request after their previous conversations. Dated February 15th, quote, a line from the city admin to the utilities employees and a line from the utility manager to the utilities employees, but not from the city admin to the utility manager. The chairman was removed later that day because the city changed a residency ordinance. The accusations were then made that the utilities were not working to update the handbook. Mr. Campbell, to answer your question from the February 29th meeting as to why the resistance to the organizational chart that had been in place for 30 years, it's because of this. so that a council member and the city administrator cannot pressure our utility manager into doing something like they did with the Callahan 33 project. The mayor made a statement to the North Scott Press and is recorded in the minutes of the February 29th joint meeting that Mike Anderson requested not to be reappointed to the utility board. The utility board recommended his reappointment. Mike never requested to not be reappointed. I have an email from him responding to my question if he asked to not be reappointed to the utility board, with Mike's response being, no, the board wanted me to stay on. The mayor would not tell me in person at a meeting that he was not reappointing me, but he did call me while I was in Florida. I also have copies of this email, if anybody would like to see it. I would like to ask the mayor a question. Did Mr. Garrels or Mr. Hamilton apply to be on the utility board? Or did you call them personally and ask them to be on the board?
Oh, so, your time's up. Thank you for coming this evening.
Okay, so. Thanks.
Is there anybody else in the crowd? Please state your name and address.
Kevin Snodgrass. I live at 818 Snodgrass Court in Eldridge. I don't have any notes or anything, but I do have a comment. As my wife reminded me tonight, we're gonna get a torrential downpour tomorrow. And I did speak to Mr. Minke, and I'm sorry, Mr. Martins and Ms. Lemke about the water issues we have in the backyards of our properties that butt up between 3rd Street and Sawgrass Court. There's a lot of water that just stands there. I just wanted to get it on record. I'd love somebody to take a look at that and tell us if there's anything that can be done. I know there's been a lot of concrete and pools and different things that have been put in our neighborhood. Probably leads to part of it, but we gotta be something, because I know it goes all the way down to the end where there's a culvert and there's a lot of standing water, especially in rental drinking waters. So, and then the only other thing I had was, what is the policy on, like, if somebody does an improvement on their house, do they need to resod it, and what's the time frame on that?
You can call me tomorrow.
Okay.
Discuss
The only reason I bring it up, my grandpa always used to say knee high by the 4th of July for corn. Well, I got weeds next door that are knee high, and they've been like that for 2 years now, so.
Sure, give me a call tomorrow. That's good.
Stephanie Faust, 810 West County Street in Eldridge. I wasn't planning on speaking, but I would like to finish this up, just get any clarification on what the heck has been going on with everything. So the question was to you, Mayor. Did Mr. Garrels and Mr. Hamilton apply to be on the utilities board, or did you call them personally and ask them to be on our utilities board?
They both had applied and then I called them.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. City ordinance states that when there is a board opening, citizens will have 2 weeks to turn their name into the city clerk for consideration. Jim Skadal was removed on March 27th, and 12 days later on April 8th, the agenda was to consider new trustees. It gives the appearance that the mayor and council doesn't apply ordinances evenly. Last, there's Jake and Jody. Jake was placed on leave for an investigation into approving his own travel funds, and Jody was placed on leave for a clerical error. Mr. Yossi has been quoted saying he has not seen any evidence of money missing. The FOIA request should have cleared up any questions concerning travel reimbursements to Jake, and the fact the utility board had knowledge of its employees' W-4 situation with Jody. If you really do feel the way you claimed on February 29th when you said, our goal is to clear up any confusion and move forward together with a positive relationship and positive communication, then in a show of good faith, I'd like to request reinstatement immediately unless there's any other accusations you have against them. I appreciate your time tonight, and I hope that my actions tonight can help bring some clarity to the citizens of our wonderful town and help them see both sides of the story. As a member of this community, it's very concerning that all of our board members have been removed in the last 60 days. And it would be wonderful if you could explain why that's happening.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there anybody else this evening?
Mine's just general in nature. Mr. Martins, I had called and asked, you guys were supposed to be discussing something.
Can you state your name, sir?
Yes, sure. It's Mike Mathis.
Okay.
I live at 104 Fairway Circle. I said mine is just general in nature, but Mr. Martin said that you guys were going to be discussing, taxation this evening. Am I correct or am I?
I believe he's talking about the max tax levy, which is part of the budget.
So we don't have the tax levy specifically on, we have a public hearing for the budget. And then after that public hearing, there will be a vote to approve the budget and the max levy will be adopted as part of the approval of that budget.
So that's a future date or?
The public hearing for the max levy was the last council meeting, which would have been the second, right? First of April. So tonight is the public hearing for the budget, and then once the budget is adopted and approved, the max levy will be approved as part of that. So that public hearing for that occurred, 2 weeks ago.
Is that when I stopped and saw you two uptown?
No,
That was after.
Yeah, there was a note on the door.
That was the week in between. There was a special meeting that was canceled. So that was a week after.
I just had called and the letter that I got, I actually thought they haven't report, it sounded like, that's it. And then I came up and they said there was a meeting and the door just said that the meeting was canceled.
That was a special meeting on another topic that was canceled.
Okay. Thank you.
On to 8A, consideration to approve the city council minute meetings for April 1st, 2024.
Changes for the discussion. I'd like to make a motion for approval.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion by Blackwell, second by Yossi to approve the city council minutes from the April 1st meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. 8B, consideration to approve the minutes from the special city council meeting on April 1st, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Campbell, second by Collins to approve the minutes from the special city council meeting on April 1st, 2024. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. 8C, consideration to approve the committee of the whole minutes from the April 1st, 2024 meeting.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion by Dockery, second by Collins to approve the committee of the whole minutes from April 1st, 2024. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. 8D, consideration to approve the bills payable. Anybody have any questions this evening?
Mine are all answered prior to the meeting.
I know the second.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the bills payable?
So moved.
Motion by Blackwell, second by Yossi to approve the bills payable. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Names, ayes have it. Number 9. Open public hearing on the fiscal year 25 proposed city budget.
So moved.
Okay.
Motion by Dockery, second by Blackwell to open hearing on proposed city budget. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays, open hearing at 7:29. Do I hear a motion to close public hearing on the fiscal year 25 budget?
So moved. Yes.
Does anybody have any questions?
Sure. So moved.
Okay, we'll hear a second.
Second.
Motion by Blackwell, second by Collins to close public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays, I have to close at 7:30. Consideration of resolution 2024-11 approving the fiscal year 25 city budget. Resolution 2024-11, whereas the city of Eldridge, Iowa is required to assemble a budget of its revenue and expenditures for each fiscal year. And whereas the city council conducted a public hearing regarding the budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending in June 30th, 2025. Now therefore be it resolved by the city council, the city of Eldridge, Iowa, one, that the budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2024 till June 30th, 2025, as outlined on attached form is hereby adopted. And number two, that the city staff is hereby authorized and instructed to file the budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2024 to June 30th, 2025 with the Scott County Auditor in the state of Iowa, passed and approved this 15th day of April, 2024.
For the public that's here, Dana, you want to go through it a little bit, that our levy's going up 2 cents, but the rollback's substantially greater. And
Yes.
at the end of the day, we're using roughly $50,000 of the cash reserves to balance everything.
We didn't have to use, any cash. We chose to use some cash reserves out of our road use fund for some projects. Out of our general fund, we did not have to use any cash reserves. We balanced that, the budget without using our reserves at all. The max levy did go up, about 2 cents. So we're at 7.98.
And 7 something.
That's 6 or 8.
Yeah, I think it was 796 last year, it's 798 this year. No major changes to expenditures. We chose to use, again, some of the reserves out of road use to get some of our street projects done. Working on building out a CIP for the next 3 to 5 years. So that'll be looked at this year by the council to financially plan some of those larger road projects for the coming years. Other than that, nothing out of the ordinary, or no big unusual expenditures this year. So we were able to balance with the revenues coming in.
Plus the legislature limited our revenues.
Yes, so we were limited by the new bill that passed for property tax due to the amount of growth that we had as a city. So that took about close to 300,000, I think it was, if I remember correctly, from what we would have brought in. But we still grew enough and had enough revenue that we were able to balance our expenditures without using reserves. So we did lose a little bit based on that new bill, but we're still in good financial shape that way.
But for the general public, our city levy rate went up 2 cents. The rollback, the state really dialed the rollback back. Those letters that the county sent out, very misleading, because it didn't have all the taxing entities on it. And they assumed $100,000 value in the house and showed it. If your assessment stayed the same, it showed a reduction. Now, it depends on what the assessor did your property. Some properties or taxes will go down, some will go up. But that is the state's check and balance against the assessor's increasing valuation by adjusting the rollback lower. So.
Thanks. Thank you.
So if no one else got any question, I make the motion to approve resolution 2024-11 as read.
Second.
Motion by Dockery, second by Campbell to approve resolution 2024-11, approving the fiscal year 25 city budget. Roll call.
Josie,
Aye.
Dockery,
Aye.
Rollins,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Blackwell,
Resolution 2024-11 fiscal budget passes. Number 10A, consideration to approve the city engineering master service agreement for a term of 3 years beginning January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2026, as proposed by Shive Hattery. That I can call on you for this.
Sure. This year, the council looked at proposals from different engineering services, just as part of doing their due diligence. It had been a while since they reviewed engineering services from different firms. Ultimately, they did appoint Zach Howell with Shive Hattery. The last contract that we had with them, we did just a 1-year term because I think there was that consideration to look at different proposals. prior to that, it was traditionally 3-year contracts. So we are just looking at a master services agreement. The fee schedule is the same as what was proposed when we reviewed those to appoint the city attorney or city engineer. So this is just the master services agreements proposed for 3 years again.
And there's no exclusivity in here.
Correct.
In the agreement, so if we have a different project, we can pick any engineering firm we choose.
Correct.
We have something major.
And Zach is the appointed engineer that took over for Greg, that took over from Myra.
Yep, that's correct.
No further discussion, questions, and make a motion for approval.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion by Blackwell, second by Dockery to approve the service agreement contract for 3 years with Shive Hattery. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays, the ayes have it. 10B, discussion, consideration to approve engaging Ayler and Cooney PC to prepare and establish amendment number 2 to the Eldridge Multi-Residential Urban Revitalization Plan. Savannah?
Yes, this is the topic that we talked about on April 1st in our committee of the whole. I did send out that residential urban revitalization plan to the council for review, and that has one amendment to it already. What we're looking at doing is engaging Ehlers and Cooney to possibly do a second amendment and expand that zone to include an additional parcel for the purpose of a development that's coming in that wants to apply for housing tax credits through the state of Iowa. And in order to do that, they need to have a contribution of a local funding source from the local agency where that development is going to occur. So by allowing that tax exemption zone, that counts as a local funding contribution from the municipality, since we don't have any other incentives for residential or anything like that. It is a development that's very similar to the 2 that have already applied for that urban revitalization tax exemption. And we only have 1 remaining parcel currently that needs to be developed on for that zone, which we did actually receive a call from that parcel this week, and they are also interested in doing the same thing and applying for those tax credits.
But that parcel's already in ours. zone.
That one is the last
Because
remaining
originally-
parcel in our zone. Yep.
Originally, we put 3 parcels in there.
Yes. Yep. So this amendment would be to look at expanding that zone to include that additional 4th parcel for a multi-residential development.
Anybody have any other questions? Go ahead, Brian.
I guess, where does it stop? My question. You know, I'm not in favor of this. We did 3 lots. You know, are we gonna keep doing this, or are we gonna be known as the city that never says no? That's not what I want to be part of. I mean, originally it was presented, they were gonna build 6 or 8 plexes on that, similar to what's on Franklin Street, to shield in between that and the trucking company. Now they're going to come in and put, how many units in?
250s and a 30.
You know, right now, I'm not in favor of it. You know, what's the impact gonna be on our sewer system? How much are we gonna put on the lift station? I have no problems doing what was originally presented to the city on that. But you're talking putting 48 units in versus 250? You know, the school will probably be mad at me because they want students, because that's how their revenue, but I guess I'm not in favor of amending our program at this time.
You know of any concerns regarding capacity to infrastructure such as sewer or additional water or electric?
From what I understand, this is a planned development that was already, may have already submitted the plans. I'm not sure how far it's gone with Ray. This is a development that's been kind of talked about and planned for a couple of years. They're just looking at, taking advantage of tax credits at this point.
Has there been discussion as to what the price range may be for these units?
Yes, so it would be a range, from studio apartments with attached garages up to 3 bedrooms, and the range would be from 975 for that studio up to 1,825 a month for the 3 bedrooms. So it's targeted for the workforce.
Have you had in your mind, what would be the benefits to the city for this?
So these workforce housing tax credits, if they applied and were granted and they were capped at these rent prices for these units, that would qualify as affordable housing for the community, so that when we do housing needs assessments, we're able to show that we do have some affordable housing in our community at that workforce level.
At $1,825 a month, affordable.
Workforce, yep, mid-level income for the industrial and commercial developments.
And at some point, are we gonna need to have affordable housing down the road, are you thinking?
I mean, there's constantly assessments being done to the communities, especially when your community is growing, for developments that would come in for affordable housing. So they have to do a needs assessment first to show that there's a need before they can bring in, different types of affordable housing. So this would meet the need for affordable housing in the community.
But do we have to incentivize it?
So the incentive for this would be to allow them to apply for the tax credits. We would have to have some sort of local contribution to show a partnership with the development at the city level. So that's where the incentivizing comes in.
Right.
Is for them to be able to get the workforce housing tax credits to provide some affordable housing.
We don't know the true cost to the city yet then.
So that would be the schedule for tax exemption that's set in that amendment. If you were to decide to approve that and go forward with it, then the council would have the option to set that tax exemption schedule with our current residential urban plan. I believe it's 75% first 7 years. So that is the schedule that the council would set then for that tax exemption. And once that's set, it gets adopted, and then the county handles it as a tax exemption after those applications are filled out.
And it hurts our general fund.
And these investors have not said whether they're doing it for sure or not, or does it depend on what the city does?
They won't be able to apply for them if they don't have funding contribution from the city, because that's part of the requirement of this application. There has to be a partnership with the local agency.
But are they only willing to build this if they get that partnership?
I don't know what the difference is between the development that they had proposed before and this current development, so I'm not sure exactly what has changed in it or what their development plans will be. And I can't speak for certain on what the status of that development would be if they were not to apply for those credits.
For the investors, not that it makes a difference, local or out of town.
They're local.
So if we decide to approve this, we're opening up the door for the possibility for the affordable housing, but we're engaging Ayler's community regarding this, and then once we get the okay, then further procedures can take place if necessary, correct? So-
Yes, so tonight, what you would be voting on is just to engage Ehlers and Cooney to prepare an amendment that the council could then consider. This doesn't bind you to approving that decision. It just allows them to start working on what an amendment could look like. And then the council would have to approve that amendment to the plan if they chose to.
Right.
This is just to engage the bond council to draft that amendment.
Sure. With that, I feel it doesn't hurt to give opportunity, for this to take place and for further discussion on here. It is a little bit worrisome, regarding dollars being thrown, which groups we were to incentivize, which ones were not, due to housing or due to commercial development. Like, as I say, Eldridge is a happening place. We're growing. We're going to grow, like it or not. So with that, I guess we should give it, every opportunity for further discussion, you know, if it's gonna make Eldridge a better place, it's gonna draw families, then you should really look at that.
Do I hear a second?
Have they indicated at all? I mean, they've got some hourly prices in here, but they have no ballparks on how many hours this is gonna take. Have they given any kind of idea on cost?
They have not, as far as how much, for the actual amendment to the project. It's already established, so the amendment, it wouldn't be terribly time consuming. I can't give you an estimate of numbers, but I could look into that and bring that back for consideration.
Do we even have a plan of the buildings yet? Or what they would look like? The 50-foot humongous.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, we've got the final plat, I'm not sure we've got actual construction plans on it yet.
Yeah, they did give us a picture of a similar building that they did. Share that.
Looks like Sheriff knows.
Well, to proceed with the idea and the possibility, again, I am open to it, so I guess I'll make an official motion for approval. And I took the time and we okayed it last meeting. Just to hate for her work to go by the wayside as the majority of the council, you know, said to proceed with looking into further.
I agree with Brian, it's gotta start someplace. But at the same time, I mean, I feel like maybe we need to get more information on it through this process.
And we just table it till you get more information.
Cause I'd like to see the numbers, to be honest with you, what it would bring in. And then what, if we did something different, you know, what the numbers would still be. So I don't think we should kill it. I think we should just table until we get those numbers from the man.
I agree.
I would agree with that.
Did you make a motion, Dan, to table this?
I do.
Scott, you second? that?
Yep.
Motion by Collins, second by Campbell, table.
Yeah, for next month's meeting.
On the first meeting in next month.
Are you asking for an estimate of time from Ehlers and Cooney for what it would take to complete the amendment for cost from the attorneys? Just to be clear what I'm looking
I
for.
think having a rough cost on that draft, I think also the savings, the benefit to the city going forward. You know, for those 7 years or whatever, however that would lay out.
What cost is gonna be the taxpayers?
Right.
Right. And then what it would bring to the city too, so we can do apples to apples.
You put me in an awkward position. They would table them, but I'm still against the project. So, okay, I'm tabling it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. All right. 10C, discussion, consideration, approve a proposal from TATPL to upgrade the Highway 61 of Clay Road traffic signal an amount of $29,428 and to upgrade the 9th Avenue to Clay Road signal an amount of $27,552. Nevada, can I call on you?
Yes. These two traffic signals have been on our radar for a while, with an estimate of about 40,000 each to upgrade those. They currently have the underground loops, for detection, and we are looking at upgrading them to video detection. This is the stoplight by Casey's, and then the other one is the 61 ramp stoplight. I know for sure, Brian Wessel brought this one forward for the 61 ramp, and I use it every morning, and it's pretty bad. I've tricked it now, so I know exactly what to do to get it to go, but he was coming back from Davenport the other day, and they were backed up all the way to the interstate, on the ramp without it going. So that one is in need of being upgraded, soon, and so they're looking at a proposal for both of those traffic signals to get upgraded. Both of them would be able to continue to be used, if we do make improvements to that stretch of the Leclerc corridor in the near future. With the video detection, we'll be able to remount those and use those if the traffic lights move, at all. So we do have funds in both the sales tax and the road use where we could, project already this fiscal year, or we're only about 2 months out, not even from our new fiscal year, and we can budget it for that, as well. And we've got funds in either account to be able to upgrade these stoplights.
I think the loops on 9th Avenue are working though. I don't see much of a problem there, but on 61, those loops are all broken, so it's just on a timer. You know, I would propose doing 61 and not doing 9th yet till we determine what we're doing with East Leclerc Road. Because those loops on 9th appear to be working to me. But 61, I agree with you. They can get backed up. There's nobody on Leclerc Road and it's still red coming off 61. They've been, I think those loops have been broke for over a year now. I mean, then we can try the system, see how it works versus if we don't like it, I don't want to buy 2 of them.
Is that the same system that's on First and Leclerc?
I believe it's the same system, yes, that they have there, so that they can communicate a little bit too, I believe. So you can set them to work together for that timing.
So the lights have the capability, I don't know if they do on Personal Leclerc Road, but fire trucks, ambulance and squad cars right away. Can they see them coming and switch, or is that a whole different setup?
It usually switches for us, and 9th does too.
61 does not.
61 does not.
So that's the one we fix.
So are you making a motion?
Absolutely. For 61 and 1.
Second.
Motion by Dockery, second by Yossi. Approve the approval to upgrade the Highway 61 Clear Road only traffic signals in the amount of $29,428.
Was there, before we vote, was there a benefit to do both at the same time? Is there a particular cost savings if we do this? Recommendation by Public Works to do this? Is there any safety concerns that we're ignoring?
I think they're the last 2 that need to be upgraded to the video detection as far as on major thoroughfares. So that's why we have the estimate or the proposal for both of them. Undoubtedly, the 61 is worse and is in more urgent need. But we have proposals for both and have kind of had them on the radar for projects for a while. So, as far as I know, there's no harm in waiting to do the one, on 9th until we get further down the line or have an idea of what we're gonna do in that corridor after the study.
Okay. Thank you.
We need to vote on my motion.
Yeah.
Brian, second.
Yep, I know. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Number 11, staff reports. Nevada, I'll call on you first.
The joint park board meeting, we are looking at Tuesday, May 14th. I think I've heard back from about half of you. If you could let me know if you will be able to attend that. That's their regular meeting. It's a Tuesday night at 6 o'clock at, they usually hold them at City Hall. With the joint meeting, we may move that out to here, depending on how many people are gonna be able to
I
attend.
think it's 7, Nevada.
Oh, 7
I
o'clock?
think so, yeah.
Centennial is working on their street patching project. Black Hawk Trail is going to have a detour beginning sometime around April 22nd. That's going to last approximately 2 weeks. So there will be some notices going out here soon to get the residents aware ahead of time that will happen, next week in about 2.5 weeks, they thought, to completion on that.
What section of Blackhawk Trail are they doing?
I'll get back to you on that tomorrow and give you the cross sections for that.
I mean, it was between First and 61 or 61 and Scott Park Road.
I thought it was first and 61.
That's probably the worst.
Where it needs.
I'll confirm with you for sure on that. They are doing some additional patching, that wasn't included in the contract, and it'll be, kind of a side project, but there was a cracked panel and a couple of panels that were, that need to be restored after a water main break, so they're gonna do that, together since they're in that area now. That's all I've got.
Thanks, Savannah. Jeff, can I call on you?
I do not have anything to report tonight.
Okay, thank you. Martha, can I call on you?
I don't have any.
Okay, and Chief isn't here tonight. All right.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead,
One
Brian.
thing, for the council, Thursday night, I will not be back for P and Z meeting. I have Scott possibly fill in for me because I'll be in Missouri. With storms tomorrow, I'm not leaving town till Wednesday, where I was originally going to leave tomorrow, but in the event Scott can't, would one of you be able to cover it possibly? It's Thursday at 6 p.m. This Thursday.
Yeah. Like, go on.
I mean, if not, Chuck takes good notes. It's just like,
I'm on the same brain.
okay.
So,
Scott, it's all yours then. Thanks.
you know, before we, move to, I just kind of want to bring it up, make sure it stays on our radar. On Iowa Street, down by the school administrations, throughout the daycare, behind that stretch of North Scott High B, sidewalks. So I came back around, I was tardy when I had my phone out. I was supposed to take pictures and drive. I was trying to swing back around.
That's illegal.
That is legal. That is legal. And I'm talking like this police chief's not here, so I'm sure I would be watched, not nonstop now, so.
But there's students in the crowd. That's why I said that.
But I swung back around to try to get a photo. A mother with a stroller that was in the street. And maybe 3-year-old on training wheels, trying to ride the bike through the grass. You talk about unsafe with the mom in the street, with the baby, the kid trying to ride in the grass with training wheels. I know that's not developed. We talked before about approaching the owner of that land to see what can be done or see if we can contribute, but the sidewalks, the way we're growing, the way school is developing around there, we need to get the sidewalks in, at least one side of the street ASAP. I want to make sure that takes place. If we need to do a public works meeting, let's go ahead and get this done. Let me know what needs to be done, that we can, put this to the top, please. Yeah, because after seeing that, after hearing from numerous residents in Elbridge and seeing it firsthand, we have to do something. We can't ignore it anymore. We just can't. Okay?
Thanks, Adrian.
Kind of along those same lines, I talked to Nevada today about this, some kind of a bike path from Rustic Ridge to connect the bike path on First. On Sunday, I saw a dad and his little daughter, and she was on a real small bicycle on Lincoln Road, and there's quite a bit of traffic, and it just looked very dangerous. We've been approached numerous times to do something, and I'd like to, moving forward, fast track that and see if we have any solutions to that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adrian. Thanks, Scott.
Before we go to the next agenda item, probably have the students
Yeah.
stand up, state their names.
Did I see some government class students slide in there?
Yeah.
Could you stand up and state your name, please?
Ask me why they're late.
I'll let you ask them, Adrian.
Oh, one of them has to say.
Do they have to sing when they're late?
And dance too, right?
Underneath. Drake Matthew.
They're coming behind you?
Yeah.
All right. If you would like to bring your paperwork up here, we can sign.
Anybody that's on there. She can't. Anybody else?
Good. We get it right tonight.
Really fast.
What stood out? Copy graph the price, maybe. There you go.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it warm. So mine, that's one thing my own. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm going to be great. Be safe.
Number 12, consideration closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 21.51C to discuss strategy and counsel matters that are presently in litigation or a litigation is imminent where disclosure would be likely prejudice or disadvantage the position of the government body in litigation. That ends our regular council meeting this evening. Thank you.